Recording is on.
Welcome everyone to the August 5th, 2021 DXdao weekly gathering of recaps version, where we will run through team updates and then also other squad update recaps. And so we will start off with Omen. Geronimo, would you like to give an update?
Yeah, so we are preparing a new Omen release. We removed more than 8,000 lines of unused or unnecessary code and restructured the project. We decreased loading times and made the Web3 connection more robust. And the release is a little bit delayed, but should be out today or tomorrow. Regarding the liquidity rewards feature in the Omen guilds, we did a lot of changes in the last weeks on the smart contracts we use, and those changes needed to be tested. We did a lot of testing the last 2 weeks, also with a testing process called fuzzing, and we are done with the testing process, and I think those contract changes and those contracts are ready to be audited. Sky, I know there are also updates regarding new Omen markets.
Yeah, so if everyone checks out Omen and the community as well, there's a whole bunch of new Omen markets that are on Omen now. There seem to be a focus on shorter term markets, given that I think liquidity providers are realizing that shorter term time frame markets with 1 month or 2 month length of time are more interesting to participants than things that are a year or 2 years out, obviously. So there's a whole bunch of interesting markets on there now, some related to flippening or ETH BTC price, not necessarily flippening, but ETH BTC price related to flippening. And then there's also a bunch of interesting markets related to other to either layer 2, some DeFi projects, some other layer 1 projects, such as Internet Computer and Cardano, to see if there's interest from those communities to get involved in Ethereum prediction markets. Then there's a handful of NFT related markets, and so there's actually, and then some things related to gas price, some new markets related to gas price, and then also 1559 and implementation and burning of base fee ETH. So these are all super interesting markets that will be monitored. I think we have a really good opportunity over this course of this month to use the strategy that DXdao and DX Voice team has been using on Twitter to basically get these markets out into the communities that are related to those markets. So there's a whole series of those. So we should really have a strategic plan to every day or maybe every couple days get one of those markets out into the community, ideally on Twitter, and try to get some attention drawn into Omen.
Yeah, I'll be making tweets about that.
Cool.
Do we think the schedule should be 1 or 2 every day?
Probably. I
think you should have good tweets. And it depends on how many good tweets I guess you can do in a day.
Pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think more than 1 a day is necessary. Probably 1 targeted tweet about a specific Omen market a day makes sense. I don't see any reason to do 2 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And also I think those markets with liquidity, they actually sometimes addressing or are about communities and crypto communities. So I think they're very good ways of engaging with those communities, with those markets.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely. I'll be tagging, for example, though there's one about what was it? Axie Infinity. So I'll be tagging those communities when I make them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
I also think the engagement can go like a little bit further, even to like going into their Discord, the Telegram, kind of like sharing it there, because these are like very engaged communities, and even just getting like some eyeballs from them would be great.
Definitely, it's a good idea. I'll do that.
Cool. Next we can move to Aqua. Ross, do you want to give a brief update?
Yeah, so we're kind of just continuing pushing towards MVP, sort of been polishing a few things. We had to redeploy some smart contracts last week just for patching a few things. I believe we're in the process of getting an audit, so that will be the last sort of hurdle before we release an MVP. We're also looking to, in the next week or two, start work on the fair sale, which will be the release after this. Yeah, things are moving along well, and hopefully I'll have some updates soon. And we're also working on some graphics and branding for Aqua.
Awesome.
Yep, and on the audit, we're waiting back for the estimation from Phil, who I think should be able to start pretty soon. He's a little busy at the moment and catching up on some stuff after his own vacation, but yeah, he has the latest contracts, and the next step is getting an estimation and a start date back from him, and we'll let everybody know once we have that.
So Aqua has priority, right?
I actually think the auditing priority right now is the swapper token, which should not take long because it's not a lot of smart contract code, then Aqua. And then the third thing we were looking to get done is helping out admin with reality.eth. But I guess depending on the scheduling, we'll have to look at when Omen contracts and guilds are ready as well, because it would depend on the scheduling around both of those.
Yeah, so I don't think we should package the whole Omen audit into one. Like all the liquidity rewards changes can be audited separately, because I think we still need to do some changes on the guild contracts.
Great. Do you think the liquidity stuff is ready or getting close?
Yeah, it's based on Caden yesterday. It's ready. So I will sync up with him today again and let you know.
Awesome, because in that case, I think the order would be swapper token, Aqua framework, and then Omen liquidity, and then Omen guild when it's ready.
Maybe like before Omen guild the reality contracts. Sounds good.
Yep. Yeah, if that fits, for sure.
Great. Next we move to Swapper. I think Zet and Federico are both out today. Does someone else want to give a quick update?
I can try to recap where it is, but others can kind of jump in because I haven't actually used some of the newest stuff. I think development and preparation for Arbitrum is ongoing. The scripts for token airdrop for Swapper token and launching Swapper, I think, are nearing completion. And I think the other big thing is the token switch, or sorry, network switcher, which I haven't actually looked at yet. Geronimo, maybe you could speak to how that's looking, because I think you've actually tested it.
Yeah, so there was a lot of back and forth. It seems like switching networks on mobile wallets is still like very nascent, because it's like very buggy. But it seems like Lutzi actually achieved to allow some portion of wallets to, like, you should be able to switch networks, I think, on MetaMask, but not on Wallet Connect, because the Wallet Connect version 1 is not really functional for switching networks. And it seems like Wallet Connect v2 is like almost ready for public. And once that is done, I think we should adopt Wallet Connect v2, and then switching networks on mobile should work.
Cool. And then there's also some additional discussion around Swapper token and community airdrops and changing some or refining some numbers and then the technology that is allowing the drop to happen. So yeah, it's moving forward.
And that is all on the forum too. Yeah, if anybody listening to the call wants to take a look or participate in that discussion, they should check it out on the DAO Talk forum.
Cool. Now we jump to our favorite one, DX Vote.
Oh man, the favorite one. Well, I did a lot of changes on the network configurations. Now we have a single file with all the configuration of DXvote. This is super important because it allows us to, for example, add new recommended calls. The recommended calls are the ones that you are going to be suggested to, suggested on the form when you are going to create the proposal. For example, right now we have DX controller, permission registry. If you select DX controller, it's going to propose you the mint and bear reputation. The permission registry is going to tell you, it's going to show you the, for example, set the permissions to allow new functions to be executed. If there is an ERC20 token that is already allowed to be transferred in a scheme, you are going to see it there. In Rinkeba, you should be seeing DXdao and Swapper token. We also enable the limit transfers. This means that you can put a limit of a token to be transferred by a wallet scheme. In Arbitrum testnet, we have a limit for Winus token. Right now, we cannot test it because the Arbitrum testnet is down. So we are waiting for it to be back up to continue testing Swapper functions. We were testing Swapper functions with the recommended calls that Federico shared to me, and we added on the configuration file. So this configuration file has the contract addresses. These are the most important ones to fetch all the information. The recommended calls, the ones that I just talked about, these are the ones who are shown on the new proposal form, and the tokens that we want to list in the networks. Like, for example, if you go to mainnet, you are going to see a list of tokens that are shown, and some of the tokens are we are fetching the price via CoinGecko API, and we also I also added the network name on the URL. So right now we are going to have unique URLs for proposals for specific networks, because later, for example, if you share a proposal URL and you were connected to another network, the application broke. So yeah, doing that, we have I'm trying to get it finished so I can deliver it to the multi-signature wallet in mainnet and keep control to the ENS domain, and also explain to the rest of the DXers how they can later update the cache data that we are consuming. This cache data is kind of our replace for what we commonly use for the subgraph, and the configuration file. So yeah, a lot of work there, and I will encourage everyone to use DXvote on mainnet and XDAI if you want to use the contribution reward on multi-call schemes to test it. If you find an issue, create an issue on GitHub. I'm trying to fix them as soon as you are submitting them. And yeah, we find a lot of bugs. There are going to be a few more, but I feel very confident that the app is working, I think, quite well for now. And I'm going to be today submitting proposal on mainnet and XDAI using DXvote.
Exciting. We're looking forward to those proposals. Next on the agenda, we have Carrot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm excited to for DXdao to start using DXvote more, and then I'm personally excited about spreading this out to other DAOs as well. So yeah.
So that's good. That raises a good point. DXvote, like as a product, which is obviously based on the DAO stack / Genesis smart contracts. So at this point, it's still a certain type of framework that DAOs could be using already, or should or could be using. And there's only a handful of DAOs that do use this framework. And so with a new like awesome front end called DXvote, will communities will it be easier, or will they see value in adopting this type of governance versus other governance that they're currently using, basically? So, it is a new front end, but it's not, there's some changes in the background, but like obviously DXD token instead of Gen token. But the question is that enough that's going to attract other communities to like use this framework instead of what they're currently doing?
So I'll just say that I've been talking some like publicly on Twitter and some like privately about like this whole token voting thing. And I mean, we're kind of going off on a tangent, but I don't know if you guys have seen, like, there's like a proposal on the Aave forums to add like Barn Bridge or something. And then the Barn Bridge VCs are voting for, and then the whatever the competitor VCs are voting against. And it's like, this is not for the best of the protocol. This is literally like VCs with all the voting power, like voting on stuff and like doing whatever they want. So my point is that token voting, people are realizing token voting is not good. And obviously I don't think full reputation voting is the best, but maybe somewhere in the middle can be a staking. I think it's just a wonderful thing. So I mean, there's still a long way to go, but I do think that DXdao is way ahead of everyone else in terms of governance. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, governance 2.0.
Thanks. So next up on the agenda is Carrot, which has kind of, well, the development of it has been sidelined, but we actually, in lots of calls related to partnership and business development and integrations and things, we often talk about the future possibilities of Carrot, and there's actually always a lot of excitement around it. So if possible, we should try to either dedicate more resources or try to accelerate the development of this product, because it becomes a standout product that DXdao has that can be used a lot in many different scenarios, and gives DXdao an additional thing to leverage and stand out with. So
yeah, and I know Federico definitely wants to be working on it, and I think it's just that the Swapper token and Arbitrum launch have taken priority. So once those are looking good, I think the plan is for Federico to focus on Carrot. But yes, like developer kind of resources are an issue across the board, and something that we're trying to work on, of course, but that has been a constraint.
Cool.
Good to open a discussion to see around which products should the ETH Lisbon bounties revolve.
Yeah, there's like potentially this idea, any idea that DXdao has or the community has could be developed internally, could be developed in partnership with other communities, or could be developed externally through bounties or dev shops and stuff. So there are multiple paths forward, but like sitting and waiting is usually not, of all those options, is not the ideal one. So we can revisit it, I guess. But Let's move to DXgov. Chris, do you want to give an update?
Sure. I guess just kind of the last 2 weeks, DXgov, kind of the normal operations of kind of passing proposals, updating the products, and then a lot evolving on the buyback program. Kind of the last 2 weeks, we saw the reaching the $1 million in purchases of the initial signal proposal, and then also passed an extension for an additional $1 million of purchases. And I think the first order was submitted a couple days ago, and I think is supposed to pass and hopefully be executed tomorrow evening. Right now, for these orders, we're doing them exclusively on XDAI because Gnosis Protocol v1 on mainnet service for it is being deprecated. So those proposals will happen on XDAI, but we're also exploring other ways to conduct that program, conduct the buyback program in the long term. One of the most exciting, of course, is Aqua, and figuring out how we can use Aqua to do this, both maybe in the short term with the fixed price sales, but of course the long term way of using an auction to do this. And then lots of other things. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, and then kind of different things with DXvote that Augusto was saying. Lots of testing to move forward with getting governance set up on Arbitrum and making sure that there's another base set up there. So I think just as a shout out, I'm trying to do it more. But whenever you're submitting any proposals on mainnet XDAI, trying to do it through DXvote because you can. It's like a way to test it out. There's lots of cool different features. One of the most exciting ones for anyone, you can check the redemptions that you have on any proposal on XDAI or mainnet. And so this would be any like gen you have locked up or any rep you have locked up. And that's through DXvote. Just trying to begin the transition of using DXvote for everyday governance.
Great. Anything? So next is DXPurse, which is treasury management, which continues to be ongoing. Some interesting conversations around additional dollar assets potentially being held by the DAO instead of some more centralized dollar stable assets. Was there anything else on treasury management that people wanted to mention?
Yeah, or maybe the way we should be describing it is stable assets or stable coins rather than necessarily dollar pegged assets, given recent regulatory pressures. But yeah.
Stable assets would probably be the term, because some of them are pegged to pi, whatever that is.
Also sovereign assets.
DXBiz, Nylon, would you like to give a rundown?
Yeah. So, like this week, we had essentially a lively discussion about the house collaboration and LPDAO, and I think there was like a follow-up call, which was sharing a minute there. ETH Global participation, and ETH Lisbon, which is happening likely towards the end of October. And there's some, soft consensus around DXdao participating, helping to organize, and potentially being, either a gold or silver sponsor. So yeah, that's that. And then, if you guys want to update about like house, and there was a meeting also with Good Dollar, so.
Yeah. So the DAO house situation is interesting. That community around their token recently launched an LP DAO, or is in the process of launching an LP DAO, which is basically a DAO for token holders of a community to basically organize around liquidity and decisions around their token. In terms for like DEXs and things. And so currently, that LP DAO with house token is attached to Swapper LP tokens. It's a way to join their DAO. There's talk of having an extended rewards pool in order to keep that liquidity focused on Swapper for now. And then in the call with DAO House, there was interesting conversations around other things that we could be doing together. There was even an interesting idea around creating an LP DAO for DXD holders that could then organize, capital decision making around DXD token, and potentially have House also streamed to that LP DAO. And so it's interestingly a kind of like a token swap, but it's really instead of like a token swap between communities, it's really getting tokens in the hands of community members from two different communities. And so, and it's partly directly and it's partly through these LP DAOs. So it's kind of the whole idea of the LP DAO is very new and unique in the space, and it's cool to have DXdao and Swapper attached to it. I think that more and more token communities will start to use things like LP DAOs, and DXdao could actually experiment with it itself, or the DXD community could. And then it's also a way to like very organically intertwine two different communities so that they are basically working together. So it's another tool in the DAO to DAO relations, which is becoming a more of a popular topic these days. So pretty interesting stuff there.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. You could see how two token communities could like combine and partner together and then redirect the liquidity in like a strategic way. So I think it's a really cool idea. I like LP DAO as a word or a phrase, but I'm also trying to think of what the other names are. I think we could also think about how to meme this. I do like the LP union or liquidity union, because I think this is like as you said, like a new tool for DAO to DAO interaction. So it'd be exciting to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, so the meme that's currently being used, so specific for house token, it's the LP DAO is actually called Pool House, right? So the idea of a pool, right, is the actual meme, like a swimming pool. Like so you could have like DXD pool or pool DXD, and you could have that's basically like let's all come together in a pool and then make decisions together, which is, I guess, kind of what a DAO is. But there's your meme.
And another thing about this is it'll be really good for the Swapper treasury, because it's basically a lot of they're giving out $53,000 worth of house and rewards just for the house pool, and then now that they're talking about doing more of it, it's free liquidity mining that they're paying for almost. With all the complications, of course. And so the date for that, which we talked about, was Monday, August 9th is when they know exactly how much liquidity will actually be in the DAO, because that's when you have to add it before then, and then it's locked there for the next 3 months. So after that date, then Sky, we were talking about getting then we'll know how much liquidity to provide on our end in rewards. And John is saying, but it goes to the LP DAO. So yeah, it's only for the liquidity providers who put it into the DAO. That's right.
But definitely good for Swapper if that's encouraging liquidity there and good branding. And the thing that made it like make sense to me was when I heard somebody say it's like bargaining power for the LPs, right? Like they're organizing to create their own bargaining power on where they provide liquidity.
Or Pool House. I think the meme is actually way more legit. No.
Oh yeah, pool. I'm not suggesting that bargaining power would be the meme. Yeah.
No, we should create a Pool House for DXD holders.
Yeah, I actually do also kind of like the meme more than I think about it. It's funny because I just didn't get it initially, but when you think about it more, yeah.
Cool. Next, we move to DX Ventures, which Tammy, do you want to?
Wait, Sky, yeah, wait. Do you want to quickly talk about ETH Lisbon? There's like actually a call happening right now for like the organizers, and we're kind of here, but
You should probably jump on it.
Like, are we sure that we want to participate? Yeah.
Yeah, Melanie and Dave are on the ETH Lisbon organizing call, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think I trust them with my life, so I'm sure they'll represent DXdao really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there
Go ahead,
any
Niall.
thoughts that we have around that?
We've been talking about it a little bit. I think Melanie and Dave have been kind of like spearheading the charge on organizing everything. We're excited about it. I think Melanie and Dave want to organize a DXdao event. There's also conversations about doing some sort of retreat attached with the conference. John, is there anything else that I'm forgetting that we should mention aside from the hackathon? Or I guess, yeah, that's the other thing, the hackathon.
Yeah, looking, I think that covers it. It looks like there's a conference happening on the Wednesday and Thursday, and then the hackathon happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
And then maybe a retreat.
And we should win the hackathon as well.
Although if we're providing some prizes, it might be good if other people won.
We give ourselves money.
This is no, but listen, this is fairly standard. Where there's a company that offers sponsorship, but their dev team is hacking. Like this has been happening in like a lot of like in ETH Berlin, one of the Gnosis teams won. So
yeah, it makes
they're
sense
like the biggest sponsor
for us to be hacking there. Yeah, for sure.
A flex, yes, that sounds about right. Good idea.
Really,
we'll add that to
we have Augusta.
Oh man, they are. Yeah, I just saw it in the chat. They are 48 hours non-stop. Like I did before. I'm going to listen to relax to be with you guys, meet you, and meet my fellow DXers, not hacking 48 hours. But yeah, if you want me there fighting for DXdao, I will be.
I mean, we're going to be fighting there with you, Augusta. What do you think?
It probably makes sense to be supporting especially we're sponsoring.
Exactly, yeah.
I getting people there hacking makes sense too, but also, yeah, especially more senior folks, it would make sense.
I want to be there shilling DXdao and make sure that everyone is hacking with DXdao.
I mean, if DXdao wins, then it's a lot of exposure.
You participate in ECC hackathon, right?
No, I didn't. I did one before, like a few months ago, but it was online.
Man, if we are sponsoring the event and we are there, we already won.
Yeah, the real win for DXdao would be, increasing awareness amongst developers and finding new developers. That would be the real win.
Cool. Well, ETH Lisbon
wins.
Will be an exciting event. So let's keep that in our minds and be prepared for it. But we also just came from ECC, which was also a great event. And actually, DX Ventures represented as DX Ventures in the ETH VC track. So was alongside a handful of VCs, which was interesting to have, for people to see that a DAO was there with like that type of representation, and had, saw a lot of good presentations. Nathan, Tammy, and myself all kind of participated. Nathan virtually with lots of good questions. Tammy or Nathan, if you guys have anything to add, we will be sharing more of like a summary of kind of the overall experience and different projects that we talked to and some thoughts about those. But it's all kind of still open, and there are no it's still other people can contribute their opinions about the projects as well as we share more details about them.
Yeah, there's pretty much there's a few projects that we would definitely see some alignment with regarding DXdao interests, but their funding's already full, like Gelato, so we'll have that listed. And then just some highlights of some earlier stage products that might be of interest. There's some interesting kind of privacy type technology that's coming out right now that would be interesting, and then more specific stuff that we kind of just want to share with everyone. And if there's some particular anything piques anyone's interest, we can talk about how to pursue that. I think things are still somewhat open for a lot of these projects from my conversations with them, and I think Sky could maybe say the same. So, but it is still important that we kind of move on this if we do want to pursue giving grants to any of the projects. So expect to post, I think tomorrow at this point, and give your feedback, and we'll talk.
Yeah, and also the majority of those startups actually didn't fit the criteria we have, given the focus of DX Ventures. And we've been talking about using DX Ventures to actually create the products through sponsoring grants and bounties at hackathons, instead of waiting for someone somewhere to think of a need we have, which most are not aware of, and start creating a product that we should somehow learn about and then invest. The whole chain is broken. We can never successfully come across startups that are solving pain points of DAOs. So it's pretty much on us to make a list of our pain points and start sponsoring grants and hackathons. And if we come across talent that is ready to build solutions around those, then we'll sponsor them. And this is probably the way DX Ventures should move forward, but we should discuss it. Because attending, ETH VC and seeing that 90% of the startups are not of interest, then it's just the traditional way doesn't work for us.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's also I would say for sure there's a lot of projects right now where you see buzz around trying to get the kind of off ramp or on ramp the general consumer. And then there's projects that just kind of don't fit with us at all, as far as where they're located. Maybe they're on Polygon, maybe they're somewhere else that doesn't really yet mesh with where DXdao is. But overall, it's still good to get the exposure and kind of connect, and then see what partnerships can be developed in the future.
Yep, great. Next, we got DX Voice.
Cool. You guys,
Keenan,
you hear me?
welcome
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
Hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah, just going to run through a couple things. We had a couple social threads, including the Q2 Treasury report, swapper censorship, LPDAO, DAO narrative, etc. Throughout our socials. Our socials have been doing very well lately. I believe I said last recap call. We also had John on the Crypto Breakdown podcast targeting the DAO ecosystem. He highlighted DXdao as well. I'm still personally working through that, but it seems like a good talk so far. DX Voice, we've begun to talk about the upcoming Aqua MVP, starting with a kind of MVP branding plan with Boris, looking to the long term as well, and also thinking about a landing page in the short term. DX Docs v1.0 formally launched, of course, was a little over 2 weeks ago, but we launched it through our socials and to the public just last week. Next step for DX Docs is cross-linkage. Right now, DXdao.eth is using our previous landing page build, and that kind of leads me to my next point. of the landing pages. DXdao's landing page is currently in production. We finalized the design early last week, so we're expecting that very soon. Additionally, we're expecting an initial design framework drafts for the Swapper landing page today, and we're beginning the process of working with Hunter Co. on the Omen landing pages. Relating to landing pages, of course, one thing into the other here, the DXvoice multi-sig authorized its first transaction, which sent the initial payment to Contra Costa Design for the Swapper landing page. As we're kind of ramping up towards the Omen Guild Swapper token, Arbitrum launch, and more, DXvoice is more prepared than ever to capitalize on these kind of things with the multi-sig. So we're kind of beginning to plan on how and where we can optimally execute on that. We've also begun to think about what DXvoice means as we transition through our fractalization process. How does DXvoice stand out? Can DXvoice stand on its own legs? Is there room for a product or other form of revenue generation for DXdao in the treasury? We have a lot to think about, and we aren't quite ready to share, but you can expect that conversation to kind of progress through these public calls. And you can also look forward to an initial branding framework for DXvoice in the near future. And the last kind of point is just that you can look forward to the July month in review later today. And yeah, I think that's the big stuff from us.
Thanks, Keenan. Awesome. So we usually jump to contributor experience. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on. There's things related. Well, Melanie's not on the call, so unless someone else wants to talk to this, I can just say high level. But there's still ongoing discussions around like a contributor compensation overhaul, and there's some really good questions and topics being discussed, and desire to really get signal from DXD holders for any decisions related to like moving big amounts of DXD. And so yeah, check out the forum around that thread still. There's some still ongoing recruitment for the marketing lead with a potential candidate who's already getting involved, and a handful of other things which I might be missing, but we can catch up on that in a couple weeks with Melanie. The last thing, I was just thinking for 5 minutes, if people wanted to briefly talk about, there is this DAO that's focused on legal activism in the Ethereum and DeFi space. It's kind of a counterpath to maybe the Uniswap DeFi Defense Fund that was funded by Uniswap Treasury. And so this is kind of a ground up organization of anyone interested in the community. And it's actually there's requests for it to be funded by a couple of different DeFi projects. It's a really unique, cool way to attack this issue in general. And there's like talk of whether or not DXdao or DXdao community members could be or should be involved in this initiative. And so it's a very open and ongoing thing that's happening. And so I don't know if anyone had any thoughts about it. It's a really interesting topic, and obviously with regulations potentially picking up, there's going to be more and more focus on this, and DXdao has an opportunity to really lead by example and get involved also.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, this is a great initiative, and I've been publicly vocal about how ridiculous the Uniswap defense fund is. So I think this is a great initiative and something that DXdao could participate in. And it falls in line with things that we've done in the past, or we talked. I don't think there was a proposal ratifying it, but I think we were talking about about $1 million being allocated for legal fees in the case that something happens. yeah, like in this case, there's a bunch of DAOs, and we're going to be doing it together with them. You can discuss like the varying like levels of decentralization in each one of these DAOs, but I think this is a great thing to just like do with the rest of the ecosystem. And yeah, I think they're talking also about like $1 million from each DAO, and then also like individual people contributing to it. And luckily for us, we have some like lawyers that could actually give some time. And yeah, I just think this is like a super great initiative, and it could like look very good for DXdao in terms of like public facing. So yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of my
Nylon, thanks
thoughts.
for putting a comment already about it on the Yearn post. I'll put a comment. John and I have also tried to reach out to see if we could get in contact with someone from that DAO. So just trying to pursue all avenues to see what can be done, and hopefully we can kind of like move forward with some sort of support. May that be financial or resources.
Cool.
Anyone else has any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily like the money is the thing that DAO probably needs the most. It really needs expertise and knowledge from people in different DAO communities to all join together.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the specific proposal had to do with, it seemed like some sort of financing. And then, of course, yes, resources, legal resources.
Yeah.
Or if we have any lobbyists.
But that was just like a Yearn specific thing. And this DAO exists outside of that. It's not like part of Yearn, right?
Yeah, but the attorney who's leading it is basically the kind of like unofficial attorney for Yearn. So I think they're approaching Yearn and then Curve. And then I think they're going to go to other DAOs to like basically try to like get funding. And then, yeah, I think also the main thing is like a collective of attorneys who can like work on these issues kind of in a decentralized fashion. That's what I gathered. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but that was mainly what I took.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So this is again.
Fair.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's like fairly accurate. I do think like like from the post at least, it doesn't look like they really have, like how they're going to do this, but the goal is to create sort of like community oriented or like bottom up regulatory needs and framework that that can be built, as opposed to the Uniswap kind of very top down, very it came from like Harvard Law School, and it's very, I don't know, like secret, and no one really knows like what they're actually going to be pitching.
Yeah,
and so
it's traditional for sure.
Yeah, and then here you actually have real DAOs, right? Like Yearn and Curve, and I think DXdao is also, I don't know, like these are the top 3 DAOs in my mind. They're kind of like pushing the ecosystem. So
yeah, definitely. So just like random context, like so I've worked in like civil rights before, and then I like have a background in white collar, and definitely with the civil rights attorneys, they function very similar to kind of what it seems like they're trying to do with this collective, which is you just kind of gather and who's in the country on specific topics and in specific areas, and you communicate amongst each other to kind of use each other's expertise and resources when something comes up. So I imagine it actually can work quite well if people just stay in touch regarding this kind of stuff and kind of gather resources when like things are needed. So I imagine it'll be pretty successful once they get buy-in.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, this was okay, cool. Let's keep on top of this topic. This was a productive call. There is in a few minutes, there will be a DXdao and PrimeDAO collaboration community call. And so stick around here, same place, or or take a little break and come back. But see you guys then. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.